Well, Kirk Cousins is not in attendance at OTAs, at voluntary OTAs, but this is something that we've seen coming. This is a potential trade that we predict to happen at some point. At least most people do. The problem is the landing spots aren't really plentiful at this moment in time because this man decided to wait until after the NFL draft because he didn't want to happen what happened last time. He goes somewhere, they draft a young up-and-coming rookie. Well, the place he might end up going, if Aaron Rodgers falls through, which I don't think it will, has Will Howard. They drafted an up-and-coming rookie. So at the end of the day, what did he avoid? I don't even know if he'll be able to be moved at this point. The New Orleans Saints, and they may not even have an interest because they might want Shook in there and to develop that situation. They also are reportedly taking a dive, and I don't know that they want to have any extra help at all. We'll see if the New Orleans Saints poke around this situation, but Pittsburgh's only going to be in if Aaron Rodgers is out. And my gut instinct based on Aaron Rodgers' response the other day was that they're going to have Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. That's kind of the way it feels right now. He feels very likely to play based on his comments and demeanor and tone and everything that he joked around about, that there's a team that plays the Vikings, and he went on and on and on and talked about that. But Kirk Cousins heading to New Orleans is still a thought. Where does he go? Does he get traded? Is this a nothing burger? Does he end up staying in Atlanta as the backup? We also have potential Etienne news. We talked about that yesterday. I'm more so going to dance around the news, tell you what I think about some of the rumors that have been kind of, I'd say, rekindled since the NFL draft. That's all it really is. But Etienne's certainly a player that could be moved. Kenneth Walker, Etienne, Rashad White are probably the three most likely running backs to get traded if I had to make a guess in a prediction. The Fantasy Football Show breaking news edition, because we're live whenever news breaks. Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're also live every single Monday through Friday. And we're live most every graveyard show at midnight, the After Dark show. File on in to this breaking news show that's all about Kirko, Etienne, maybe some Walker, some phone calls. Do it live. Dial in, dial in, dial in.
.com Studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Live whenever news breaks, and here we are talking about Kirko once again. Will Kirk Cousins show up after voluntary OTAs? Will he be an Atlanta Falcon walking into 2025? He's certainly backing up Penix Jr. And he adds no shadow, no pressure to Penix Jr. at all. Penix Jr. is a monster. He's a gunslinger. So there's certainly not going to be any sort of we have to get rid of Kirk Cousins. They're taking a hit by getting rid of him. They're clearing out a potential problem, some would say, just by having a dynamic at play where a guy thinks he should be starting. It's uncomfortable. They just don't want Penix Jr. to have any sort of butting heads of any kind with the backup quarterback. I don't think Kirko would do that, but that's the only thing that would potentially prevent this thing from, continuing on the way it is. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of landing spots. It does come down to Aaron Rodgers falling through, which again, I don't think will happen, for Kirko to be in Pittsburgh. And it comes down to do the New Orleans Saints even want to win games? So where else does he go? Does anybody have a prediction as to where Kirko might go? You can certainly call into the phone line in a second. We'll be talking about that in a few moments. Anything else you guys want to bring up? Bring it to someone said the volume's a little lower than normal. Is it? Let's see here. Last time I cranked up this volume, let me see. It ended up returning to normal, and then it was blasting everybody to oblivion. So I don't know. It seems to be right about normal to me. But if anybody's saying that the volume seems low, let me know. Yeah, Steve, but it just got louder for me. Says Young. I don't know. Let me know if the volume seems low. Dial into the show. First of all, there's not a lot to go over today in terms of these two topics. The ETN stuff. Honestly, Etienne is a tough player to predict where he's going to be playing next year, if he's going to be staying put. The bottom line for Etienne, let me see if I have this news. Was this it right here? This was a report by Jeremy Fowler. It said, I guess Etienne is available very cheap. I'd guess Etienne is available very cheap in the trade market. This coming from, let me minimize this because the actual clipping that was used in this tweet from Jeremy Fowler is right here. And it basically says, I've talked to multiple people in the league who believe the new regime is not high on Travis Etienne, and Tank Bigsby has a fumbling issue. Well, so does Tootin. So I believe Tank Bigsby is the best running back on the roster, to be honest. And I think he's going to prove that. The metrics prove that. But I think we'll find out what happens. Etienne, if he's on the roster, certainly going to get a shot and crack at the number one job. There's no Etienne getting benched right now or taken out of commission until something happens. But I think it's very important to note that it's been talked about to this level before the NFL draft that Etienne was not very high. They were not very high on Etienne walking into the NFL draft, or at least the new regime. Liam Cohen may want to go in a different direction, but that's also potentially remnants of smoke season, so we don't even fully know. Not to mention, this was before the NFL draft, so things have changed in a way. And so they also have Tootin fumbling on his first live carry, and that put a little bit of a damper on his at least coming out party. So we'll find out what's going on. But I will say this, that the Etienne stuff, it's all very speculative. Even if we look at, I believe it was this report here, everything that's talking about Etienne being traded to the Denver Broncos, for example, is coming off of, I believe, this one report where someone's talking about, analysts suggest, and this is about that one analyst, suggests that pairing Harvey with Etienne could enhance the Broncos' rushing attack. This is one man's prediction. There were analysts that supposedly said that it's been advised that the Jacksonville Jaguars, or it's been advised that the Denver Broncos trade with Jacksonville to acquire Etienne. It's been advised. They've been advised. Advised by who? A draft analyst, a draft expert said this. Literally 4, 5, 6 sources are picking this up, and I believe I have that screenshot here. If you search for Etienne, Travis Etienne Broncos, you come up with this Sports Illustrated report. Broncos advised to trade for Jaguars. Who advises Who advises Sean Payton? Like, do you understand where this is coming from? It's not coming from the Broncos at all. Some draft scout, or a couple of them maybe, said, I think it's in the best interest for the Broncos to go get Travis Etienne on the cheap. And these reports are actually suggesting that the Broncos are being advised to trade for. What is going on here? Broncos suggested to trade for $12 million former first-round pick running back Travis Etienne. At the bottom from Heavy Sports, BVM, Broncos eye trade for Travis Etienne. Are they really eyeing a trade? Or is this just a bad game of telephone where it's like, hey, I think that the Broncos would be a good fit for Etienne. And then that gets passed on. Hey, do you hear Travis Etienne might be on the move? Hey, did you hear that the Broncos have been advised by who? Who advised the Broncos? RJ Harvey leads the Denver Broncos daring quest to conquer the running back, and then there's more on this. But all of it is about one or two analysts advising the Denver Broncos as if Sean Payton needs advice. So I'm not saying Etienne doesn't get traded. Again, understand what I'm saying. Etienne and Walker and Rachaad White are probably the three most likely running backs to get moved. Washington, the Commanders could maybe use a running back. And that's to say that they don't believe in Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Little Bill, who I believe in. So part of me doesn't want anybody but Walker. I'd take an L on the Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt situation and call him a backup, a great cuff to Walker. I'd take that L and that step back for JCM to get Walker in an elite landing spot. But that's a great place that could look to trade for an RB. Past that, it's hard to find a lot of very good locations for Travis Etienne. But if a running back were to be traded because of the pre-NFL hype that has to stem from something, I do believe the Jacksonville Jaguars might be interested, with the drafting of Bashal Tootin, might be interested in maybe trying to get something for Etienne before they've got to lose him or pay him, which they're not going to do. So it's all about contracts. Just like when people think that, Bigsby could be moved. No, Bigsby's not going to be moved because it's about contracts. They don't want to pay Etienne. They don't want to extend Etienne. They don't want to lose Etienne for nothing. So Etienne is certainly a player that could be moved. No doubt about it. But to the Denver Broncos, this is all coming off of somebody, as said in the top left corner, Broncos advised to trade for Jaguar. Who asked anybody's advice? Sean Payton isn't looking for anyone's advice. So it all came from that one report, and everybody keeps perpetuating it. It keeps getting passed on that the Denver Broncos are trading for Travis Etienne. It's wild to me. So we'll find out more about where, if anywhere, Travis Etienne's going, but don't expect it to be the Denver Broncos because someone advised it. That's all I'm trying to tell you. But he certainly could be on the move. We got a super chat here from 831. Appreciate you. Hampton or Hendy to go with Gibbs, H-Hand, Dynasty, Superflex. Give me Hendy. I get Hampton's appealing, but he's in a more of a committee than Hendy, and I think that resolves itself by the end of the year for Hampton. And Najee's on a one-year deal, but we've seen players get brought back before. It's not like he's out of the woods, because what if Najee's efficient? What if Najee's efficient enough that nobody wants to bring him in, but they want to retain him? Remember, J.K. Dobbins almost got retained as a Charger, so don't think that Najee couldn't be brought back. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about Hampton. Hampton is a rising star, but I just think Hendy's better. I had Hendy ranked higher before the draft, and the landing spot is beautiful in New England. He's the best pass blocking running back in the class, Hendy, so he's going to be on the field. Ramondre was a 9th and 10th round afterthought before the NFL draft. Why is everybody afraid of Ramondre clouding the waters and muddying up the waters now? I'm not. I don't think he lives in a running back by committee. I think he's a very special Breece Hall, type of player, where you H-Hand type of player, where Hendy needs to get 4 to 6 receptions, 12 to 14 carries a game. There needs to be a Ramondre in the backfield. We got gifted memberships coming in from, I believe, New Age Outlaw. New Age, you're a monster, my boy. You are a straight up savage. You're a super chat. What did Kruger call you? What did he nickname you? The cowboy, the super chat cowboy, or whatever the hell he said. Appreciate you, New Age. Let me make sure I've got this pulled up so I can see New Age's gifted memberships come in. Yeah, New Age Outlaw, 20 gifted memberships. What an...
You've just been Smitty.
Stock on the rise.
New Age Outlaw stock is on the mother freaking rise. This guy. So give me Hendy, but I understand where people would like Hampton. Give me Hendy. I had Hendy ranked ahead of Hampton before the draft. So that makes you feel better about my decision. And my decision's pretty concrete. Thank you for the super chat, A31, and because you're the first super chatter of the day. First super chat gets a standing ovation.
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy.
Okay. Let's open the phone lines.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Phone lines are open. Dial in. We'll get you guys cooking in here. Let me see if I can fix the phone lines. They're always kind of temperamental, and I don't think it's going to change, to be honest, guys. I think it's going to be just me playing with each day to see what...
It's substance up by...
I just test the voicemails and see if the audio's coming through. You guys hear Denny okay?
No, you're right, Smitty. Birdie sucks.
Yeah, so we don't have to go to the speaker today. I occasionally have to go to the speaker plastered up against the mic because we got some audio issues, but we always test Denny, the phone line with Denny. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we move on to the alternative. But we always have phone lines. We figure it out. The phone lines are always open, just like they are right now. So dial in. Give me a prediction. Do you think Kirko ends up in Pittsburgh? And if you say that, then that means Aaron Rodgers falls through, which I don't think you can say with confidence right now, because Aaron Rodgers being asked that question by a fan the other day, and his answer very much feeling like he's returning. And, giving an answer about who plays who, and he knows a team. He knows a team that plays the Vikings or the Saints, or what was it, the Saints? I think it was the Saints question. So, yeah, I very much think that Aaron Rodgers is returning. But there's a chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers say no, and they change their mind. if Kirko's available and they're waiting on Rodgers and Kirko's available and the Falcons step on Aaron Rodgers and say, you're taking too long, let's go offer the Pittsburgh Steelers Kirko, and then ends up happening. Like, that's something that could unravel on Aaron Rodgers. And he's that kind of nonchalant guy. It's like, well, if it happens, it happens. Like, he's that guy that doesn't care. It's wild to me. Let me go over to Johnny. Johnny, you're live.
Hey, Smitty, wasn't Etienne a top 5 fantasy back the season before last, and then he got injured last year, and he had an off year. But I feel like he's way better than he's getting disrespected, in my opinion. And I mean, he should be an asset to somebody.
Yeah, he is really, really good. There's no doubt about it. Etienne has got a lot of talent. He's still kind of young, but he's had some mileage and some injury concerns and all that. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel like they do want to move on with their own RB, and it makes sense that they're going to potentially, look to explore. Let me see if this audio does look a little bit down. Let me see. Testing 1, 2. I think, am I too loud right there? I think that's pretty good. You guys hear me pretty well right now?
I hear you fine.
Well, yeah, you guys might, but for some reason the chat is saying that the audio is a little low today. It does look like the levels are a little low. I don't know. It's going to ramp up at some point. I got to watch the redlining, but it does feel like it's a little low. I think that, I love Etienne. I love Etienne, and me saying that I think Bigsby needs a shot, should get a shot, to prove himself, doesn't mean I don't want Etienne somewhere else to thrive, like Washington or something like that, even though I want JCM, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, to thrive in Washington. But this is like one of those Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet situations. I want Charbonnet to start for Seattle. And that doesn't mean I don't want Walker to get traded to Washington and be a monster. So, I'm torn on Etienne, but Etienne does feel like he might be lingering in an environment where, he could be on the move for sure. I just think this Denver narrative is wild. No one's even looking into it. They just keep re-reporting it. Just keep cutting and pasting it. It's literally, as you can see when you do a search on it, Broncos advised to trade for Jaguars running back Etienne. Who has the nerve to report that someone advised the Broncos to do something or Sean Payton to do something? It's so wild that everybody's picking this up. I get a comment every day or a caller that says, did you hear that the Broncos might be interested in Travis Etienne? Who said that? Nobody. The answer is nobody. Not saying it can't happen, but nobody's saying that. Nobody is. So, anyway.
Yeah, maybe you should start a stupid, ridiculous rumor that we could all spread ourselves just to show them how dumb that crap is.
Yeah, and again, could it happen? Like, could somebody predict the outcome of that? It's possible, but there's nothing to it right now, because if you dig into it, it's literally being regurgitated that the Broncos have been advised to I've never heard a report like that before. Like, I advise things all the time. Why aren't people reporting that I advised teams to do things? I don't understand. All right, go ahead, Johnny, real quick.
Last thing I'm going to say is, do you think it's possible he could end up in Dallas, seeing as how Dallas hasn't really gotten anybody substantial?
Yeah, sure. But I think Blue, they believe in Blue. I like Blue. They believe in Javonte. I like Javonte. I don't know that it's possible, but I don't think Jerry makes another move like that. I think Pickens Jerry Blue is, his, you could say his, I don't know, potential.
His wad.
Yeah, his trade wad, meter went to the ceiling on that. I don't think he's trading for another guy. I think Javonte, the word is they're very confident in Javonte. Although we heard that the Steelers are very confident in Jalen Warren, and then they drafted Caleb Johnson. So you got to be careful with who's talking up their own players at what point. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, bro, it's just one of those things where I feel like this. Let me just change this mic real quickly.
I'm not confident in Javonte at all. That's just all the injuries and.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say all the injuries is really one, but yeah, coming back from it and not being, fully healthy and playing at a lesser, capacity. But It does sound like he says he's never been fully healthy until right now. I'm excited about the combo. I am excited about the combo of Blue and Javonte, and their cost of entry together is pretty damn cheap. You know, you're talking getting both of them in double-digit rounds, which it makes sense to some degree. I'm very excited. I'm not going to invest in Javonte very heavily. I'll get him in some best ball drafts. I might take him in a grandma league at the very end of a draft if he fell. But I'm more interested in best ball. Grabbing him in Blue together as a flex, rotational flex piece that I can, hope works out. Blue is really good, and Javonte could be really good, and I think they stick with one of them. I do not believe they're going to have this rotation that's going to be detrimental to both of them. I believe they will roll with one that explodes if one does, and if it seems like one's dragging their feet, if Javonte, which he will most likely start the year, then they'll swap it out, and Blue will get his chance. So I think Blue is probably the more intriguing. Blue's probably the more intriguing player just because he's very cheap. Javonte's not expensive, but he's costs more. So Blue's probably the guy you want to grab solo if you're just going to grab a fifth or sixth or seventh bench running back. All right, Johnny.
I got you.
All right, appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, have a good day. Bye.
Let me go over to the 609 caller, then over to Bruce. 609, you're live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Smitty, it's Etienne.
What's up?
How we doing? I'm calling because I'm not trying to sound rude if this is going to come across like that. But do we really think that Kirk Cousins is fantasy relevant wherever he goes this season? Yeah. Or is he just going to take a ride on the pine?
I mean, yes, it's relevant because it affects what happens with Aaron Rodgers. It affects whether Penix Jr. is the only quarterback and there's no backup in Atlanta. There's a lot of impact based on this move. Is he himself a relevant fantasy quarterback? Absolutely not. But it's still news, and it's something that people are wanting to know what happens because of the peripheral stuff. But yeah, I mean, him as a starter, no one's gonna. But you got to remember, people do super flex, bro. Where if he's a starting quarterback somewhere, people are still gonna pick him up and draft him to start as a super flex,
right?
At least a third quarterback, But Etienne's also. What?
I was gonna say I could see him even going and just finishing his career out in like Washington or Minnesota, where people know him best.
I mean, I don't think he gets moved. He has a no-trade clause. I don't think he waives the no-trade clause to be a backup, bro. I don't think so. I think he's not interested in that. But you never know.
That's true.
You never know what can happen. I think that the Falcons also aren't interested in moving him for peanuts because they literally have a good backup quarterback in their mind that knows their system that could fill in for 2 or 3 games. I don't know how good he played, to be honest, because he went 4 straight games without a touchdown pass at the end of his tenure, and then he scored 1 touchdown that 5th game, and then they took him out. So I don't even know that I want him on the roster, to be honest. But you could coin some of that to the fact that he was still recovering from the Achilles. All right, anything else, bro?
I just think it's a weird time in the NFL where guys like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and everybody are still relevant, and they're like mid at best quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers played pretty well at the end of the year last year in New York, though. So if he was to go to Pittsburgh, I think in that system, that confined environment where it's run heavy, they have winning seasons. As DK Metcalf, a big, huge monster target, this is a pretty decent spot for Aaron Rodgers. But do I think he wins the Super Bowl? No. But I think it's not bad. I think DK could do pretty well with Aaron Rodgers. It's certainly better than any of the scenarios they have right now. I mean, better than Kirko, probably better than Will Howard initially. Maybe Will Howard turns into something strong. I think he could. But you're also looking at Pittsburgh, who doesn't develop quarterbacks well, if at all. So Will Howard is kind of in a disadvantageous situation, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
They took Dustin Fields and made it worse.
Yeah. All right, later, bro. Bruce, you're live.
Hey, Smitty. my
Yo.
thing's on Kirk Cousins. You think that the Falcons told him to stay home, or he just said, I'm not staying home because I'm not wanted here?
I mean, I think, the report right here says Falcons Kirk Cousins is not in attendance today for the team's voluntary OTAs. Head coach Raheem Morris told reporters. He didn't tell reporters we told him to stay home. He didn't say anything of the sort. It sounds like Raheem Morris was reporting in such a way that was like, Kirk's not here. Next question, like type of thing. I don't think this is they told him to stay home. Not to mention, they don't tell him what to do at all. He has a no trade clause. He can do whatever the hell he wants, and I don't think he would put up with that. I think he stayed home from voluntary workouts to send a message to get the ball rolling. But again, it's voluntary workouts. A lot of players don't show up for voluntary workouts. So we don't really know what's in store here. I just think that he wants to be moved. He wants to start. And unfortunately for him, there are only a couple spots. New Orleans being one where I don't know if they're interested because they probably believe in Shuck or they're just ready to lose games. And maybe Kirk helps with that, though. But it's an expensive proposition. Will the Falcons actually cut him? Our team's just going to wait for that and see if that even happens. Are the Falcons going to say, cutting him's way too expensive. We need a backup if we do that. Let's just keep him for a year. We'll cut him next year if we can't trade him. Hard to say, Bruce, but I don't think Kirk is – I think Kirk is – it's a hard sell to trade him to a team when you only have maybe two options. And one of those, the most likely option to work out if it was available, is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I believe Aaron Rodgers is headed to go play football for. So I don't know how this works.
And I have one more. I have one more on Kirko.
Yeah.
The Colts brought in Danny Dimes. Don't you think they should look into bringing in Kirk Cousins too and saying, okay, AR5, here's your competition?
Yeah, I don't
and
think
if that happened
at the cost, I don't think so. Because remember, Kirk's not free. He's not even close to free. So what team wants to bring Kirk Cousins in on a trade to be a backup? The answer is no team. No team wants to take on Kirk Cousins' contract, or even like they want to sign him as a cut, free agent. That's what would maybe happen. But I don't believe that there's a very big market at all for Kirk Cousins, let alone as a backup. No one's bringing him in as a backup, in my opinion. Anything's possible, bro. The Browns are out there. So anything is possible. The Browns could go get two more quarterbacks. They can go out there and Brown all day long. The Browns know how to do it. They know how to do. They know how to mess up better than anybody. But yeah, I don't think Kirk Cousins is destined to be a backup in his mind, and so as I said a minute ago, if you said, "Hey Kirk, waive your trade clause and go be in a 3-man battle for a quarterback spot," he's gonna say, "Go kick rocks. I'll just stay here and be number 2 in an offense I know."
Okay. Yeah, so he'll probably, if everything goes wrong, which I'm assuming it is, he's probably just going to be like a Deshaun Watson and sit a year as a backup and then get cut, because that's what's happening to Watson. That's what's going to happen.
Probably, yeah. Watson will get cut next offseason, most likely, and even though it's going to be a huge story and hit, but if Shador is playing ball, no one will care. Just like when Brock Purdy was playing ball, no one cared about the Trey Lance debacle. Nobody brought it up. No one gives a crap. So if Shador is the guy and he develops into the guy, no one will give two craps. They'll say later, Deshaun, mistake, but we don't even care. Browns fans are excited. Judkins looks good. Dylan Sampson looks good. Judy, whatever. Everybody will be excited enough to say it doesn't matter. So Kirko probably, gets cut next offseason, almost definitely. But he could, who knows what happens to him June 1. Who knows? He could get cut. He could not get cut. He could get traded. He could get traded after June 1. He could get traded before June 1. There's a lot of different things that play into this for teams and salary caps and the contract. And like I said, he's got a no trade clause. So if you tell him you're going to a 3-headed monster in Indy, he would say no. Why would you want to go compete with a young AR5 with Danny Dimes and all? This just makes no sense. You know, he's better off banking on a quarterback getting hurt and being second in command, a clear second in command. And he doesn't want to. Who wants to move, change teams, learn new playbook? Like it's a lot to take on, bro. Learning new playbook is a big deal. So, all right, Bruce, appreciate you, bro. Call back later. Yep. We'll be live again. All right, Anthony, appreciate your super chat. Tyreek Hill for Jaden Reed and Tootin in Dynasty. I would rather have Jaden Reed and Tootin. I think it's a great move. Tyreek Hill could never return to any sort of, you know, remnants of his old self. So you take that Tootin value alone, let alone go grab Jaden Reed, who I still believe in. I wish he'd get traded, though. Come on, Browns. Cousins is headed to the Steelers. Keep putting out good shows. Checking in from Germany today. Thank you, Charles T. Charles T, we haven't seen you in a while. I love seeing those super chats from Charles T. I missed those. Charles, thank you, pal. Appreciate you. One more phone call. We'll be out of here. We'll be back, though. Don't worry. We go live when news breaks. We go live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern every single Monday through Friday. Rain or shine, holiday or not holiday. Only Christmas would be the day that I would go live later in the evening, like midnight Eastern or whatever. But we're pretty much live no matter what. Rain or shine, 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. In addition, live whenever big news breaks. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Etienne bounce back season. D-Money. I mean, it's certainly possible, bro. And it's certainly possible in Jacksonville. Everything's on the table now. We have no clue what's going to happen with Etienne. We're only seeing speculative pieces that are very lazy and sloppy, like the Broncos advised to trade for Jaguars veteran running back Travis Etienne. I advise a lot of things. Are people reporting that? Are people saying Smitty advised everybody, you know, take JD5? Did everybody say Smitty advised us to believe in Kyron Williams? I don't see any of that on SI or any of these other places. Why are we taking someone's take and reporting it as if the Broncos are headed in a direction because somebody, a draft analyst of some kind, advised in a question in a Q&A session, like, hey, what do you think the Broncos should do? It's my advice that they should go trade for Travis Etienne. Oh, okay. Guys, did you hear the Broncos? Attention. The Broncos might be trading for Travis Etienne because someone advised it. Let's pick it up and run with it. And now every news source is talking about the Broncos. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's not in the cards. Not right now. Thank you, Charles T, for the super chat. Thank you all for the super chats. Thank you, 831. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Charles T. Etienne, yeah. Etienne bounce back season. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. Hard to know where the hell he's going to go. You know, would a Baltimore Ravens situation be kind of intriguing? I think so for Travis Etienne. I think Walker, I mean, if we look around the NFL and we say, where could Etienne go? There's not a lot of landing spots. There really are not a lot of landing spots. Some would say the Giants, but they grabbed Scatterboo. We believe in Scatterboo. Some would say maybe the Dallas Cowboys could use Walker or Etienne or a potential Rachaad White, or those are the three running backs that I think are potentially on the move. No, I don't. I mean, it depends. Javonte and Blue. I don't think Jerry Jones is trading. The Ravens, you know, they have Derrick Henry, but is he gonna need less work? Hard to say. We'll be back. Appreciate you all. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live whenever big news breaks, and live midnight Eastern most every single night. I will see you all probably before 8 p.m. Deuces.